Hello everyone, this is Priyasha from XAT and this is the video series number 8 if I'm right of XAT workshop. So this video is for critical reasoning and critical reasoning is a very and I don't know how many times should I say very important section of the XAT verbal aptitude. You know what? Leave aptitude. The important thing here is that if you have watched the previous video, you must be knowing by now that critical reasoning is so very essential, whether it is in the form of RCs or direct one single questions. It's very essential. Now, I'm going to take a different route to start with CR. Well, the reason for that being is because that was number one adopted by me and number two, that I find it to be the unconventional method and more utilizable. The reason here is just wanted to tell you that there are plenty videos on my channel already with respect to critical reasoning, so you can refer to them. And want to also tell you that in the coming part, that is part two of the critical reasoning workshop, I will be taking each questions from all the important categories of critical reasoning: conclusion based, weakening, assumption, parallel reasoning, inference, resolving, strengthening, and flawed reasoning. But, but this is the conventional method. If I would have told you one example each of all of these, then this would have been the conventional method to do the thing. But I'll take you to the different route. What will be that different route? The different route will be to check for the mistakes first. So try to see where do you do the mistake first and what causes the confusion, because that's also a thing which you people do in decision making. So maybe these informations which I'll be giving you, the common areas of mistakes in the CR, would also help you eventually in your decision making section as well. So let's clearly find out the things you have to do. Now there is some requirement. What you have to pre-read or pre-learn is these videos in my playlist. So either you go to the verbal ability section, I mean the playlist I meant, and go there and do the things. Otherwise, the easiest is to use the quick revision sheet. There go. The link is right there in the description box. Okay, this is the quick revision sheet. Go there and search for the word critical, and you will get all the critical reasoning videos right there. Click on one of the hyperlinks, and you will see that your things are right in front of your eye. I want you that before the part two of the video comes, you actually go through these sessions, try and analyze how to do things, because I've very nicely, see, I'm doing this tarif of mine here, but really I have done it nicely and clearly, and I've told you the basic difference between what an assumption is, inference is, conclusion is. How are you going to identify the question type? How are you going to know that what type of answers are expected when they tell you that you have to find the inference here, not the assumption? Things like that. Okay, so please go through those videos because they will essentially help you in better understanding. And remember, 18 questions out of 26 questions are on stake with respect to critical reasoning, so don't take it lightly. And I would again tell it in the beginning of the video itself that this is a pure verbal ability based video, so I am not going to speak a lot in Hindi because you're not expected to do that, especially when it comes to the section where you have to understand verbal only. Okay, so please don't expect me to use a lot of Hindi in this video. Fine. And one very essential thing again, since I remembered it this time in the beginning itself, I'll remind you in the beginning that you have to like this video towards the end if you like it, and share it anytime between the video also. That is also acceptable. You can share this video with more and more people and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Now, let's talk about some important fallacies which we see in the reasoning questions. Number one, see, these are some important errors which you genuinely always land up doing. Okay, this will actually undermine the logic of the argument if you see. Now, if you know what are those error prone areas, you will keep yourself, fully 100% ready for overcoming all of them. So it's just like a precaution which you are going to take. Okay, let's talk about the first one. I have also taken the Latin names because this is something I've got from my communication course. Okay, and this communication course is taught to us right there in XLRI. And you must remember the first video in which I told you that I'm going to tell you out some secrets and some really essential tips and points from the House of XLRI, and that's what I'm doing in these videos. These videos are different from the other videos on internet because these videos are coming from the learning I have learned from my college so far, that's XLRI. So that will help you all as well. Okay, let's get started. The first thing which we are going to talk about is hasty generalization in Norman English, which is dicto simpliciter. As the name suggests, this hasty generalization occurs when the assumptions about a whole group or a range of cases are based on a sample. That means you have inadequate data, and based on that inadequate data, you make or pass a judgment on something. That is what stereotypical aunties do, right? They just see someone standing with someone and then they start making stories. And that is called as hasty generalization. And that's one area of mistake which many of us do. We are actually falling in the trap of difficult words. जहाँ हमें कोई difficult word दिखता है, we are like, okay, this is an important word and my entire story is going to revolve around it. But that's not true. Okay, let's take an example. Film stars are immoral. Wealthy people are snobs. These are what? These are some general stereotypes which we have created. So, this kind of stereotype, if you have in your mind, you will always land up choosing a wrong option. And they will definitely give you one of the five options which will be highly influenced by your biases or your stereotypes. Okay, so you have to save yourself from that. Let's check the next one, which is missing the point, called as ignoratia elenchi. Now, ignore. That means this is what? This is lack of attention. Because of lack of attention, there are certain words which you miss or you feel that it's not important and you rush through it. So the premise of an argument might be important, okay, in that case, and you might miss out on that, okay, and you draw a conclusion on something else only. Let's say I say we should support reservation. Upper castes have run the country for years. They run most of the government and industry today. You can't deny that this sort of discrimination is intolerable. This is what I read for you, okay, from example. I did not keep this example right here on the screen, but I read it for you. So if you were not able to listen to this, you can just go back and just listen to me again. Now here, how are we missing out on the important point? Here, whatever I read, the author is trying to prove that there is discrimination, but not that reservation will end the discrimination. Okay, so here the important point is supporting reservation, not stating the fact that reservation is going to end discrimination. So one of the options will definitely be given to you, which will say that, okay, we are eliminating discrimination by reservation, which is actually not true. Okay, so you land up upon the wrong answer. Now the third one we are going to take is false cause, also called as post hoc ergo propter hoc. Now, what is this exactly? The fallacy gets its name from this Latin phrase which I've already read. Now, what does it actually translates to? After this, therefore, because of this. This is the meaning of this. Now, what is this exactly? Let's take an example. The shutdown of internet in the state has contributed to a decrease in crime. Just try and understand. The shutdown of internet in the state has contributed to a decrease in crime. The shutdown of internet might or might not be a factor in the decreasing crime, but the argument hasn't shown us that one is caused by the other. So this in simple language can be called as cause and effect relationship, where one is a wrong cause, correct effect, and there are four possibilities. Both are wrong, both are correct, one is correct, one is wrong. And all this comes under false cause. Now, slippery slope, a very nice word to say, right? Slippery slope. Here, the arguer claims that a sort of chain reaction, usually ending in some dire consequence, will take place. But there is really not enough evidence for that assumption. Okay, like let's take an example. Legalizing prostitution is undesirable because it would cause more marriages to break up, which would in turn cause the breakdown of the family, which would finally result in the destruction of civilization. So, what am I doing? I started with legalizing prostitution and I actually ended up in destruction of civilization, which may or might not be true. Okay, but sliding down to the bottommost conclusion, or you can say consequence, is wrong. And that's what we generally do. हम एक के बाद एक के बाद एक दूसरी कड़ी जोड़ते चले जाते हैं, and we see that we land up upon an option which we feel, अरे ये भी तो हो सकता है, why ये भी हो सकता है, क्योंकि इससे ये connected है, इससे ये connected है, sounds sensible. Now remember, sound sensible is the biggest fallacy ever. Okay, so don't fall in that trap. Next is appeal to authority. Now here, appeal to authority is a fallacy which concerns to authority or expertise. Fundamentally, the fallacy also involves accepting as evidence for a proposition the pronouncement of someone who is taken to be an authority but is actually not the authority. मुझे लगा कि शायद आपको समझ में नहीं आएगा. I'll give you an example here. Here the example is celebrities endorse commercial products for social movements. Okay, here what is happening is that we are giving the authority to the celebrities. Okay, we are saying that they are endorsing the commercial products. Okay, but where is the controversy? Okay, whenever there's a controversy, the authorities are divided, and then it is an error to base one's view on the authority of just some of them. Like for example, बहुत ही famous example है Zuba Kesari. Okay, I know you people will laugh when I say this. And there was a huge controversy stating that even Akshay Kumar, especially for Akshay Kumar's controversy, that उन्होंने अपनी इंटरव्यू में directly बोला था that this is bullshit, but then again he came up with the ad along with two other great personalities, Ajay Devgan and Shah Rukh Khan. So there was a huge amount of controversy. So there is the problem of appeal to authority, where whenever this controversy happens, everyone is around blaming only the stars and not the other things which might have led to similar activities. Like why are people not addressing the owner or the CEO of that brand? I mean that product. They never tag them, but they only blame the stars. So this can be one thing where we are only passing our judgment to one person. Like we are just blaming one person for an action and not the other, and that is called as appeal to authority. A similar mistake is appeal to popularity, where this is called as ad populum. Now, what is the difference here from the previous one? The difference being that the source appealed is the popular opinion, okay, the common knowledge which we have, rather than a specified authority. Like specified authority in the previous case were the celebrities. Now let's take an example that iPhones are the most popular handsets in the market today. Why don't you buy an iPhone? It is the best phone you can buy today. Now, this was the complete example I gave you. Now, often in arguments like this, if the premise are generally true, they may provide only scant support for their conclusions, because something that is widely practiced or believed is not compelling evidence that is true or it should be done. I mean, just because, see, this is the famous quote, okay, of our parents that वो कुएं में कूदेगा तो तुम भी कूद जाओगे क्या? This is the most common thing, and that's what is being told here in appeal to popularity. Just because it is popularly practiced, it cannot be true with respect to the current situation. So you have to read the passage, understand what is happening and required in this situation, and only then take the decision. Just because one of the options is a popular activity, custom that generally people do, it should not be the answer. And this is a very, very important thing with respect to decision making, both of them. This is applicable on decision making also. Just because a habit or activity is very commonly practiced by everyone, it is not the correct answer. Please remember. Now we go down to the next. Okay, appealing to the feelings or prejudices. Again, this will also be important for the DM section. And again, if I think you just get it from the name that the biases which you have for something, like you don't like pink color, doesn't mean that if an option says that a particular person liked pink, therefore she purchased this product. Let's say this is the option, and you like, I don't like pink. Who likes pink in this world? And you will not take that answer to be correct. But it was really the correct answer. Let's say the author, the question asked that why did Mr. XYZ purchased this cycle only? The answer was because pink is the favorite color, so he purchased. But then you're like, which man likes pink and all that stereotypes and your prejudices which you have against some particular practice or thing. Let's say there are a number of people who are divided in the thoughts of political parties or who are divided in the thoughts of religion, and you are like, "Huh, I don't do it, so why should it be the answer?" This is wrong, okay? Now we're going to talk about a very interesting thing called straw man. That's also a very important fallacy. One of the ways of making our own argument stronger is to anticipate and respond in advance to the arguments that an opponent might make. Getting my point? सामने वाले को बोलने ही नहीं देना है. Now, the arguer in this case, in the straw man fallacy, is actually setting up a very weak version of the opponent's position and tries to score points by knocking it down. But just as being able to knock down a straw man, okay, that's why the name is called a straw man, this is very much not impressive, okay? But I'll give you an example. Suppose your argument is that industrialization is the cause of global warming. Hmm? The opponent would resort to the straw man fallacy and state that you believe that all of its okay is causing this. I mean, all of the global warming is in caused by industrialization, and then we'll try to prove you false by any kind of data or something. Okay, they will say that it's because of mankind's activity and not because of industrialization, and then therefore global warming is not due to industrialization. And you will be like, what? And even if you also believed that this is true, okay, but still you will make an argument saying that no, I like you will go on a higher note and say that no, I believe and I know that industrialization is the cause of global warming. Chalo, let's say, see, what I wanted to say is not always the other person who is saying the things will be correct. इस केस में हमने एक पॉजिटिव एग्जांपल लिया लाइक लेट्स से द अदर पर्सन सेज mankind's other activities are causing it, not just industrialization. And you're like, you are not giving me facts, sir, and I'm not going to buy that. So you will be again restating the same point. That's one positive way of strawman fallacy. But imagine one of the options, okay, you get a genuine reply back from the other person that no, this, A, B, C are the facts which leads to globalization. Here are the reports. And you are now like, oh my God, this person has data. What should I do? So you will just like a very tiny kid start resorting, no, I still believe this is true. This is all false. You don't accept your fault or you don't accept that you were wrong. And that is what is called as straw man fallacy. How will you get this in the critical reasoning questions? Very commonly found. Restatement. Restatement. That is whatever is written in the paragraph. If the question is find out what strengthens the argument, there will be one of the options definitely which will be restating the same set of facts and information which was already told to you in the paragraph. And when this happens, this is never the answer because it's already known. Okay? Now, the next type of fallacy is red herring. It's going off a tangent to distract someone from an argument. जहां लग रहा है कि आप नहीं जीत रहे हो, आप किसी और direction में चले गए. Okay, that's quite often. And how does it comes in the case of any CR question? You will get one of the options which is completely out of scope. This is one of my favorite most ways of eliminating options. Something looks out of scope, eliminate it, please. Now the last two are there. False dichotomy, as the name suggests, dichotomy. The arguer here sets up the situation so that it looks like there are only two choices. And the arguer then eliminates one of the choices, so it seems that we are left with only one option. And the one the arguer actually wanted us to pick in the first place. This is very important in communication, let me tell you. सामने वाले को कैसे फंसाना है, that's very essential activity. Uh, very, very embarrassed to say this, but yes, HRs do this, and we are taught this activity in our schools, I mean, B schools. Okay, so false dichotomy is where you're forcing someone to pick up what you wanted by giving or stating something which is only option available to you. But बोलने के लिए they will give you two options, but that other option will be so vague that you are not going to accept that. Okay, let's take an example. We can either stop using cars or destroy the earth. अब बताओ आप क्या करोगे? What you want the other person is to do any one of the things, and you know that, see, uh, you can't stop destroying the earth, okay? Like you can't stop destroying the earth. This is not possible. Like if you don't use cars, this will be only one way of stopping. But if you are doing the other activities which are leading to destroying the earth, it will take place, right? Similarly, if I say that if you want the other person to stop using the cars, you will give them this kind of a dhamki and say that, okay, either you stop doing this or I'm going. So you like, I cannot live without you. So okay, do this. All right, something which our so-called very, very best and special friends do with us, right? Okay, the last one, begging the question. Begging the question. Here in begging the question, this is a very complicated fallacy, let me tell you. It comes in several forms, therefore it is harder to detect that many of the other fallacies which we have discussed currently. So basically here what happens is an argument that begs the question asks the reader to simply accept the conclusion without even providing the real evidence. And the argument either relies on a premise that says the same thing as the conclusion. This is called as circular reasoning. एक ही चीज को घुमाना, and simply ignores an important but questionable assumption that the argument rests on. Sometimes people also use the phrase beg the question as a sort of general criticism of arguments to mean that an arguer hasn't given very good reasons for a conclusion. But that's not the meaning that we are going to discuss here. Let's take an example here. Let's say that active euthanasia is morally acceptable. I guess you know euthanasia, that is someone who asks to end his life just because he is in extreme pain. So that's euthanasia. The reason can be anything. I'm not saying that, but generally euthanasia is accepted only when someone is terribly ill. So, active euthanasia is morally acceptable. It is a decent ethical thing to help another human being escape the suffering through the death. This is an example here. What's the basic premise? Premise is that it is a decent ethical thing to help another human being escaping the escaping the death. I mean, I'm sorry, suffering through death, right? But what's the conclusion? The first part, that is active euthanasia is morally acceptable. तो आप उसे कुछ बता नहीं रहे थे, रादर आपने ऑप्शन में ही डायरेक्ट कंक्लूजन दे दिया है and उसके बाद उसका रीजन दिया है. So if we translate the premise here, we see that the arguer has actually just said the same thing two times, isn't it? The first line, that active euthanasia is morally acceptable, has the same meaning as the second line, that it is a decent ethical thing for another human being to escape the suffering from the death, right? So this is called a circular रीजनिंग एंड ये आपको किस तरह के क्वेश्चंस में परेशान करेगा क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग में यू विल कम अक्रॉस सम सिचुएशंस where you will see that again restatement is one of the ways in which you will find it, and the other ways in which you will find it is repetition of thoughts and repetition of ideas. That is something which is never the correct answer. So that is the given set of fallacies which will help you to take your decision wisely. I have a work for you and I want you to do it and comment below your answers. There is one question on your screen. You can take a screenshot or read it right now with me. Studies have shown that women who are taking combined hormone replacement therapy also had a lower than average incidence of CHD, that is coronary heart disease. And leading doctors now propose that HRT is protective against CHD. Now, what kind of fallacy do you believe it is? Here is the list of fallacies. You can write down the names. okay, or take a screenshot of the names and tell me what type of fallacy is being represented here in the comment section. In the coming video of critical reasoning, in the beginning itself, I'll tell you the answer of this video, I mean, of this question. And in the second part of the video, I'll be taking one examples each of all these type of CR questions which we just talked about in the beginning. But उससे पहले जो आपका homework या काम है वो है to go through all these tiny videos on critical reasoning which are already present on the channel so that your basics and concepts are clear and you will be able to gain maximum points out of this. So, returning back, you are going to follow me on Instagram, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and share. The most important thing. And if you like the video, please like the video. Thank you so much and all the best, guys. I wish you all the best. कोई भी questions हो, so drop below in the comment section. Take care, everyone. Bye bye. Thank you.